What's up, friends? It's been a minute. Marquese Martin-Hayes. As you know, I love to interview and bring people to the space so that we can all grow and advance. I'm super huge on interdependence. Nothing has changed. Still the same game. It's been a while since I've interviewed someone. And today I want to bring someone really special to you. Many of you know I've been part of a mastermind that's been on YouTube, and it's been insane. Dropping 100 videos, 100 days in a row, going on another round. Well, in that, I got to meet some extremely amazing people. One person I'd like to introduce to you today, her name is Jackie Labielle, or on YouTube, as she's known as the Credit Connector. I don't know how many of you are interested in credit, but I know we all need it, particularly in this Western society. She has a channel that's strictly English speaking, and she's so bad, she's got a Spanish speaking channel as well. So tap in. I hope we are able to provide you with some insight that can transform your life. Let me grab Jackie. Welcome, my
Yeah,
friend. How are you?
thank you. Thank you, Marquise, for having me and inviting me to your platform.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. So I got to meet you in the mastermind, and the thing that stood out to me the most is that you're just real. There's a part of you that is just so authentic, and I love for you to just introduce yourself and start out by telling us where did this authenticity come from about who you are and why you interact the way you do.
Yes, thank you. My name is Jackie. Like Marquise said, I'm from Miami, and basically, we met in this mentorship. The reason why I talk about credit that comes very personal to me, especially that my parents were immigrants to this country, and like you all know, when they get here, nobody speaks about credit. Not only with the immigrant community, but also with the communities that, don't go to school or maybe they don't know about credit cards. And then we all grow up, and guess what? We think that we have to work all our lives to
Mhm.
save money, to purchase a car, to purchase a house. We don't understand that we can have the credit work for us. So that's why for me, it's very important to come out here and educate the community, either on the Spanish side or on the English side. In English, it's called Credit Connector, but in Spanish, it's called Conecto de Crédito. So it's very passionate for me, to
Yeah.
come here and show you guys how credit works so you guys can understand your credit. You can fix it. You can go out there and leverage it and get the best credit products either on the personal side or on the business side. And knowing that everything is possible, even if you do nails, if you're landscaping, you can have your own business and you can finance your own equipment. You don't have to work as hard to be able to save it to purchase the thing. So that's why it's so passionate to me, Marquise.
That's cool. One of the things that I learned in working with you and studying and following your channel on a daily basis is I grew up with the traditional model that I had to get investors, I had to get a business loan. But when I listen to you guys, that's just not true. Like there are other ways for me to finance my own company without having to pay exorbitant fees or beg somebody else to give me the revenue to run it. What tell me more about just on a small scale. We'll dig
Right,
deeper into the weeds a little bit later.
right.
Tell me a little bit about some of the opportunities getting credit has opened up for you or for other people that made you a believer and start studying it not only in one language but two.
Correct. So yeah, you're 100% correct. A lot of us think that we have to go and find investors when actually we can be our own bank. Because once we built our personal credit, imagine
Mhm.
getting on the personal credit $30,000 and then going and applying for business credit and getting $90,000 at 0% for 12 months. So imagine what can you do. Exactly. What can you do with $90,000, even 50,000, even 25,000
Yeah,
for 12 months, maybe even 18 months at interest free? That's what nobody tells you. And then you go out there and what happens? They get you these credit cards, they get you these loans, and then they charge you. When you
right.
by yourself, just listening to the videos, following the steps, you can go out there and do it yourself.
When I had my juice bar, I wish I had known this because it could have floated me in the seasons where it was like after Thanksgiving to January. I'd be dead in the water and struggling to maintain my business. Had I had credit to flow, I could have afforded the down season. And then January to March, it was like firecrackers for my company. So I would have been able to manage my business better had I understood something so simple as credit, what you just described.
Yep.
Anyway, now that we're here, before we go on, I want people to know a little bit more about you, though. Just because, like, you're smart, and
Yes.
oftentimes I know we do a lot of interviews where people get to express their talent, their skill. But who's Jackie? And like, tell me more.
So Jackie is born in California, raised in Miami,
Okay,
uh, married for 30 years with three kids. My oldest daughter is a dentist, and I have twins that are still living at home that are 22.
nice.
And Jackie's a ninth grade dropout, actually. But
Really? Tell me more. Tell me more.
why was I a dropout? Because I'm dyslexic. And
Hmm.
if I had all the tools, chat GPT and everything that we had now, it would have been a different story. But
Mm-hmm.
that made me who I am. That made me strong. That made me knowledgeable. That made me street smart. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that because if maybe I would have been school smart, I would have not been
Hmm.
where I am today as a woman, as a professional, as a mother and a wife, actually.
So, growing up dyslexic, like I know it's more. I won't say it's more common. It's more
Yep.
understood that it
Yes.
exists. What were some of the challenges that you faced? And because I'm Jackie, I'm very big on people discovering what's possible for them, right?
Yes.
Like interviewing you is cool, but there's a part of you that many of us who may or may not be dyslexic, who may or may not have ADHD, who
Right.
may or may not battle depression, we live in a bubble where if we don't meet people like you or we don't get the type of treatment to assist us, we stay in this bubble and we think that's all that there is. But you since you haven't even talked about your accolades yet,
Right.
but you just achieved to the degree that you're teaching business credit in two languages. What were some of the struggles like for you? And at what point did it click that that's not who you are? It's just something you're dealing with.
Right. So basically, for me, it was hard growing up because I was always the stupid kid, the dumb kid. And this came even from the teachers, unfortunately. I mean, I
Wow.
guess, back then it wasn't so understood like now, but when you see a kid that struggles in school or struggles in one department, you don't understand that kid might be smarter in other departments.
Right.
So those kids, you really have to go out there and empower them instead of really bringing them down. um, Once I started getting older and I started working, every job I had, I just shined because since I felt always like the underdog, I always wanted to do more than everybody else at that job because I was so grateful. I never thought I was going to be able to work or anything. And to
Mm.
find out that I'm a leader and everybody and everything that I've done, I've always been a leader.
So
And
how did you how did you excel? Like what happened for you to did you just go, well, I already know I'm gonna have a hard time, so you worked harder than they did, you studied more? What how did you discover that you're a leader? Like
right,
what do you remember?
I don't know. I mean, I can say that every time, like I said, I had a job, I was responsible and I always wanted to shine at that job. And just basically, as I matured and I got older,
Yeah.
I realized that my brains work different and I always have to have it entertained with something new because if not, I get bored. So I
Mhm.
love to know about every business. I can probably talk about every topic and I just like to know about everything else. And just, the more I know, the better it is for me. So,
So what I'm hearing you say is
yeah,
that you found, wait a minute, I needed to be entertained. And so then you just delve into whatever you were doing to
yeah,
understand it to the degree that you could just talk about it over and over again.
that is correct. Yes, that is
That's
correct.
really cool. That's
Exactly.
really
Yep.
cool that you took what was a distraction but
Yep.
made it work for you. When
Yep.
was the first time you realized it was working for you? Like when you first acknowledged for your leadership
Right.
or you got promoted. Do you remember what that was like?
Yep. It was. So I would say like 24 years ago, I started working in a dental office. And within 6 months, I became like the head assistant. And then they had something that was called treatment coordinator, which basically was when you sell the dental, the dental procedures to the patients. Like you're a salesperson. I never knew anything about sales or anything. I started doing it because I wanted to sell the whitening because I got a commission, the toothbrush. And that's when I started becoming so good at it as a business person. And basically, getting people finance. And that's how I started actually, is basically financing patients. So I started working with the banks, and that I just became really good at as influencing people to basically buy whatever I was selling because they saw that I was selling them the transformation of the mouth.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I realized that I have that gift where I can influence people and they see that it's authentic.
That's so cool.
Yes,
From the dumb girl in the class as you turn
exactly.
to
Yep.
being able to start talking with bank. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't even like calling banks. Now I realize they're just people, but I mean, the stereotype is they know so much I don't
Yep.
know, and you had the audacity and the fortitude to start advocating for your clients to
Yep.
get the services that they needed with banks,
Yep.
with people who were smart, so to speak.
Exactly. There were book people, or college people, or
Yeah.
but it got to the point where I was bringing in pretty much three to $3.5 million in funding a year. Yep. So you have to
Wow.
talk a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Wow. Okay.
that's
Gosh,
what, I
that's
guess that's
awesome.
what helped my confidence when I realized that helped me be confident. And
Yeah.
one thing that I do all the time is when I see that kid that people are trying to like put a bad seed in them, I
Hmm.
always try to do everything the other way around because I remember how hard it is when you're a child and people mark you just by their words. So that's something that everybody should kind of think before they talk to kids how they're going to treat them.
Yeah. So with your marking that they were
Yes.
giving you, was it your experiences that helped you begin to release it? How did you get to the point where you're like, screw you? I know who I am. Like, when was the moment you, not even just the selling, but like you stopped believing what they were saying about you? Or is that something you still struggle with?
No, actually, I don't. I feel very confident at this point. I can probably tell you early 30s. Like, I already, like, wow, no, like, I saw what I could do and what I can transform.
Hmm.
So, by that point, Marquise, I got to put this dog out. Sorry.
No problem.
Put the dog out. Get
No
out.
problem at all. It's a recording. We're good. While
Go.
she's away, I'm gonna talk bad about her because she should. I'm just kidding. That's my girl. She's good people. I'm gonna chop all this out. Don't worry.
My husband opened the door and the dog got it. So, anyway,
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw the question at you again.
yeah, go ahead.
So when did it click for you that what they were saying was no longer true? Like, how did you overcome that, or are you still struggling with it?
So no, I don't struggle with it anymore. Pretty much in my early 30s, when I started seeing how quick I started moving up, everything I did, it was easy for me.
Hmm.
And I became a leader and I grew
Hmm.
and I grew and I grew and I grew like as a professional, as a woman. And, like I said, I'm that person that put my kids through private school. My daughter's a doctor.
Slow
And
down. Your kid went to
yeah,
private school.
yeah,
That's what's up.
yeah,
Congrats, mom.
yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Makes me feel amazing. It really does. Makes me feel amazing. And what's funny is that I had a
Huh?
lot of friends that were very smart, and today
Yeah.
they're not doing anything. So
Hmm.
yeah.
As a mom, did you live with the fear of what if they started struggle with dyslexia as well? Is that something that you learned early on that they didn't? What was that like for you? Because were your mom in your 20s or your 30s?
My first daughter 22, and then my twins at 30.
Okay, so 30s when
Mhm.
you just started awakening.
Yep,
What
yep.
was it like as a mom while walking through the development of your own identity? having
Yes.
not had it fully recognized.
Yes. So my first daughter, she was always very smart. Actually, she was in the gifted program.
Okay.
My twins did struggle at school, so I was always in top of them,
Okay.
seeing what was going on. Thank
Hmm.
God that they're not like in school, they didn't go to college, but they're not dyslexic. My son a little bit, but you know what? They read and write. So they basically, I couldn't read and write. So it was hard
Wow.
seeing them struggle, but no, they
Yeah.
did pretty good. They did pretty good. And if they would have been dyslexic or anything like that, just because I went through it,
Yeah.
they would have had a different, completely outcome. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I know it is said, and first of all, thank you for your vulnerability because I really appreciate that.
you're welcome.
One of the things that the labels actually drive me nuts
Yep,
because I feel like what's really happening is they don't know what to do, so they come up with something just to label it. And
right.
unfortunately, because they don't know what to do, they make it negative, right?
Yes,
But I know, like Floyd Mayweather, the boxer.
I know.
Uh, yeah, it says he also suffers from dyslexia, but
Yep,
he's doing all right. He's
that's
doing
right.
all right, Jackie. He's doing all
I would say more than all right.
right,
Yeah,
right.
he took it to the bank.
Yeah, he took it to the bank. Yeah, call me what you want, but we're here.
That's
Say
right.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting that you found your genius through sales, through communication. How did
Yes.
you then transfer that? Like what? So it's one thing to discover I'm really good at selling. How did you discover that negotiation was good, but now I understand it to the degree that I can teach it? What was that like, and how did you discover that?
Yeah. So I think the way I discovered it was because what I was offering, they were accepting it. So I knew that my communication, they were understanding it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
imagine a person that is dyslexic, one of the things they struggle with basically is the language and, rotating the words and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But everything that I was offering, they were committed to buying. So I understood that whatever I had or the way I express myself, it gets to people. I might
Mhm.
not express myself as a college level, but
Mhm.
most people don't have that college level. Most people, you have to talk to them like a fourth grade level.
Yeah.
So maybe that is why my communication is so effective and authentic. It's real.
Very, it's very good. I have
Yes.
a question for you. I want you
Go
to,
ahead.
because I love Spanish speaking people and the culture that I know of it. It's a large world, and I only know small chunks of it.
Yep.
But what would you say to someone who is one either struggling with English because they're still fairly new to the country and or their community only spoke Spanish? What would
Right.
you say to encourage them to not let up, to know that they can win, and to get after it and not use that as a crutch? And you're welcome to say whatever that is in Spanish because they're probably listening as well.
So, le dijera a esas personas que todo es posible, ellos sí pueden aprender inglés, lo que tienen que todos los días ponerse en una meta para estudiar y educarse. So basically what I'm telling them is that everything is possible. I mean,
Yeah.
I did it. I did something completely different, but if you put yourself on the path of, determination and you study every day, you
Mhm.
will achieve it. You don't have to be a perfect English speaker. I
Right.
mean, you
That's
just
right.
have to be able to communicate where people can understand you and you can kind of understand what they're asking you as well. Yeah.
So, Jackie, to me, you are an excellent communicator.
Thank
Where
you.
did you learn to do that? Like so when you speak Spanish, obviously you sound Spanish. But what
Yes.
I mean is you still have what I think is a heavy accent,
Yes.
but your English is perfecto.
Yes.
You learn to navigate the balance between those two because everyone doesn't learn how to do that.
Right. Right. So I actually speak English. That is, I consider my first language better than my Spanish.
Mhm.
My accent is because I have the Miami accent.
That's what it is. Okay, the Miami accent.
Um, so what I do when I speak English or Spanish, I try to think before I'm speaking, just to make sure that I am pronouncing my words correctly, and I'm getting my message across of really what I'm trying to communicate. And sometimes I'm doing my videos and I'm trying to read the word and I'm still not pronouncing it right, but I'll say it. I can't pronounce it right today, and I'll just laugh about it, and just people still like my videos, and they engage with it.
So
So,
good.
it's just being yourself, and just, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
you are
Hmm.
who you are, and that's it. Just be you.
That's so cool. So
That's right.
speaking of being you, when did you get comfortable being you? And I don't mean work. I just mean
Right.
self-discovery. When did that kick in for you, and what brought it about? How did that happen?
So, I would say again, probably in my 30s. That's really when
Okay.
I became confident. When I had my twins, everything changed because imagine my mother, they were, twins. She didn't want to take care of them that much. And that really there made me develop as a woman, because I felt like these are not two little puppies. I cannot give them back. Like,
Yeah.
I have to become a woman so these kids can have the best life ever, because it's not the same of having one kid as having three kids. And I think that basically empowered me a lot. And when the twins were little, like a lot of times I was like frustrated. They were driving me crazy. I was tired.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, but at one point I saw them like they could be bothering me. And what made
Hmm.
me kind of turn around from that was I went to an event from Tony Robbins, and
Okay.
he did something where he tells you close your eyes, and you're kind of doing like ring around the rosy, and you kind of there, that's when you're going to have who makes you happy in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
it was my kids, my family. And from there on, something changed, and I saw everything in a different way. And that was
Hmm.
definitely in my 30s.
That's
Yep.
so cool.
Yep.
So one of the things that I know about Latin communities, especially Latin women, this is
Hmm.
for Latin women and Latin men who were raised in the culture.
Yes.
They lose their identity when they become a mom,
Yep.
and it drives me nuts because I'm like, don't do that. But everything's papacito, and all those things, and I get it, right? Because there's a lot of pride in family, and it's really important. Actually, we can all take a lesson from that to a
Yes.
degree, but I see it often go too far, like
Yeah.
way too far,
Hmm.
and children end up running the home, and or the woman loses herself, and when they're gone, she has no identity.
Right.
How have you been able to maintain who you are? Because I don't get any of that from you
Right.
at all. We met in person. I didn't get any of that whole like loss. I'm Jackie and I'm doing handling my
That's right.
business,
Yeah.
enjoying my life. But I also didn't get masculine energy from you either. I just
Yeah.
got a woman who's about that business and about her life.
Yeah.
What helped with that, and what would you say to people who struggle?
Yeah. So I love my kids, but I'm not the goo goo gaga mother. Like,
Yeah.
they're my kids. I love them, but I do set them straight. I also have a long term marriage, and my husband and I, we love to go out. We love the party life.
That's
So
cool.
even though that I did everything as a mother,
Hmm.
still kept living my life and going out and having fun and going to parties. I never stopped doing that, and I still do it.
That's cool.
So I think that's for me. I guess the marriage and just having a fun husband made a big difference. That we
That's cool.
never fell into that routine.
Yeah.
So I think that helped us. But I do see a lot of parents, like you say, they give their lives up, and what happens is that one day you blink and your life is over, and you know what, those kids are going to grow up and do their own lives. I'm an
Hmm.
only child, and I did my own life as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
Thank
One of
you.
the things, first of all, congratulations on long-term marriage as
Thank you.
well. A lot of your audience is millennial. Is that right?
No.
Or Gen X? Who's your audience more? Would
So
you say?
I would tell you probably, I have a range, I would say from 35 to 65, but I would tell you mostly 40s to like 55, that range.
Okay. So, all right, I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that. You've got a nice, young, youthful look,
Yeah.
and your communication isn't very like stiff, right? You're still very lively and present. So I could definitely see that early 30s being
Yeah.
attracted to you. as they are navigating life, and social media says who they're supposed to be and not supposed to be, and you've been married a large portion of your adult life,
Yes.
what would you say to those young ladies who are still making themselves, but also perhaps questioning their identity because they haven't been chosen yet or haven't found the right partner yet?
So everything has changed. We all know that. We're 2024. And for me, I would love my kids to get married and to have the traditional wedding.
Hmm.
But if it happens, fine. And if it doesn't happen, it's fine because we were, taught or we were taught you got to get married. But the truth of the matter is that you don't have to get married. You can be happy on your own.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my kids now. If you want to have kids, that's fine. But if you don't, that's fine as well. Life has become very hard. And for those young ladies that haven't been chosen, I mean, you need to be confident with who you are as a human being, as a woman, as a young lady. And you
Hmm.
have to be happy first before anybody else can make you happy. And it's okay to be alone, it's
Yeah.
okay to be alone. That's why you have family, you have friends,
Hmm.
and it's at this point in life, everything has changed and life is
Hmm.
just going in a different angle or a route.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
it's okay at this point.
What would you say? Because I can hear them now. Well, you're married. You've been married all this time,
But
but
that
we,
was back then, that was what we were supposed to do.
yeah, yeah, right. But we also both know that marriage doesn't make you, and many times it can break you. What would
Exactly.
you say are three main things that you would say to the early 30 audience to find happiness in their life and to be self-sufficient? What would be some of those key principles you live by or that you would want to share that
Yeah.
they should really start considering now so that they can have and experience life the way you do, where you're
Right.
still alive, you're still vibrant, you're still out partying, doing what makes you feel
Exactly.
happy, while not even trying to control your children, not being
Right.
lost in them, but empowering them and yet loving them. What
Yeah.
principles would you give them that
So
you think?
yeah, the first thing I would tell them is whatever they decide to do, even if they work in a McDonald's, get up every day and be productive in life. Whatever you do, even if you clean toilets, do it with a smile in your face. Be happy about it,
Mhm,
embrace it. Because
mhm,
if you are not happy in whatever you're doing and that's the energy that you're putting out, that's exactly what you're going to receive back. So that's the number one thing. Be productive in life and whatever you do. Get up
mhm,
every day and do something, whatever it is.
mhm.
You don't have to be a college degree, but whatever it is, do something. The
Yeah.
next thing I would tell you basically, if you want to be happy in life, is to invest in yourself. Okay. And what that means, invest in yourself, is, go to courses, go get your hair done, go get a massage, go meditate, but invest in yourself and develop yourself as a person for whatever that is in life. So, investing in yourself and taking the time to really think of who you are and why you're here and what you do for humanity.
Mhm,
Like, I give my little grain every day. It might not be big, but I'm going to give you an instinct. Let's say right now they're giving $5,000 back in taxes.
mhm,
And instead of getting $5,000, if they tell me that the whole United States would be better if I only get $1, I
mhm,
take that back because I always try to think about not what makes me only me, but what can help everybody else. And if you try to have that type of mentality and you don't do it on a selfish way, life always gives you back. For some reason, life has been generous with me and it's always given me back. And that's something that I would share too. That's very important. And the third thing that I would tell you is, even if you have kids, go out
mhm.
and have fun. Do whatever you want to do. If you one day want to go naked out the door, do it. Because you know what? One day, and that's something my father told me, Marquise, one day you blink your eye and your whole life just went and passed. And, staying home, and I'm not saying if you want to stay home and raise your kids and that's really what makes you happy, then do it. but enjoy yourself because tomorrow is not promised, only today.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And unfortunately, we live in a world now where there's a lot of disease and there's a lot of things, even for the younger people. So
Yeah.
you got to go out there and enjoy yourself. And I don't mean party, party, but just enjoy yourself. Enjoy your friends, go out. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
What would be three credit strategies you would recommend for an early 30, 35-year old or someone who they're not just starting their career, but they're
Right.
starting to get a sense of who they are? What are three things you would immediately encourage them to do when it comes to credit?
Yeah. So when it comes to credit, one of the first things I'm going to tell you is don't go out there and buy things that you don't really need, because that's how you rack up your credit. And I've seen so many people now, like there's a lot of people now in early 30s, 20s, they don't have credit because they
Hmm.
bought a purse, they bought a vacation, they bought something. Credit is everything. And if you have good credit, you can have whatever you want, because you're going to be able to afford it. Obviously, you got to pay for it. But I would tell you, work on your credit profile, not only the score, but the whole profile. Make sure that you're responsible, that you understand your credit behavior, because that's really important. If you can control your behavior, then you shouldn't even go out and apply for credit. That's number one. So really controlling your behavior and understanding why you need credit and achieving that's going to also help you in the long run. So that's one of the things I would tell them. Also, I would tell them start investing in buying tangible, properties, buying, if they can, real estate, trying to buy something, even if you don't live in there, but you can maybe buy a townhouse, a condo, rent it out, but try to start building early, because imagine buying something at 30 and 20 years after, 30 years after, it's already paid off. And that's
Hmm.
something you have, because, you know, it's not the same as buying a car. A car depreciates, a boat depreciates, but when you actually buy something like a property,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
always have that there. So that's really important as well, is make the right investments when it comes to using your credit. Okay. And the third
Hmm.
thing I'm going to tell you, a lot of the 30-year-olds out there, is when it comes to credit and building, their own profile, is
Hmm.
smart. Um, a lot of the generations now, even with the 30-year-olds, they feel that they
Hmm.
don't have to work. I'm not saying to work for somebody, but I'm going to tell you that in life, in order to have what you want, you really got to go out there and do your part, whatever that is,
Yeah.
whatever that means. I mean, you can
Yeah.
leverage credit and own your business, but don't wait for the handout. And don't think that you're going to become rich if you're not really putting your part in. Like,
Yeah.
you got to go out there and work. And like I said, because I see a lot of people now, they don't want to work. And there's something going on now where just kids don't want to work. The younger crowd doesn't want to work. And you know what? It's okay to work for somebody. It actually makes you feel good when you get up every day and you go to work and you work for somebody. It makes you feel productive, happy. When you
Hmm.
stay home, there's a study that when you stay home and you do nothing, your brain doesn't get smart. Like, you go back. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why people that are rich retire and they keep working, because it keeps them younger, healthier, active, their mind, in tip top shape. So working actually is proactive. It's good for you.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Awesome. I have one more question for you.
Yes. Yes.
And first of all, is there anything more you want to share?
No, I think this has been a great interview, and thank you again.
Oh, my pleasure. My last question for you
Yes.
is, as a woman, as the credit connector, as a human, as a Latina, as a mama, if you were on your deathbed right now, no one had access to your money, no one had access to your phone, and the only thing that they would remember is the last thing you would say to them, what would you leave the world as a reminder from you? What would you say?
In the world, to be honest, I think we need to have a little bit more of self love for everybody. And I guess, yeah, Self love. I mean, because of the way we're going with everybody fighting with everybody, it's just, you know.
Hmm.
So I think, I don't know, a little bit more self love for everybody, I think would probably go a long way. Be more considerate to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Thank
cool.
you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you, my
That was
friend.
fun.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, my total pleasure. Listen, how can they find you? I'm going to also add it in the notes, but go
Yes.
ahead and tell me, how can they find you?
So you can find me on YouTube as Credit Connector, Jackie Laviel. You can put my name. Or in Spanish, Conecto de Crédito.
Conecto de Crédito. All
Yep.
right, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to connecting. Hang on. I'm going
Okay.
to end this. We can keep chatting.